Surviving all disasters, space between the lines of day and night collide. The space between the lines of day and night collide. The space between the lines of day and night collide. Through light of day and dark of night. Sun's a chill until the breath of dawn. Through light of day and dark of night. We move against the will of those that would do us wrong. Against the will of those that would do us wrong. There is no space between the lines of day and night. I wonder why there is no space between the lines. No space between the lines of day and night. I wonder why there is no space between the lines of day and night. I wonder why.
Hello and welcome to Darkcity Radio. You're listening to the I Am Show with me, Sarah, and this week I'm going to be talking about change. For all those that already know, I don't really need to explain this, but for all the new listeners, I'll just explain what the aim of the show actually is. The aim of the show is to just to look at ourselves and the way that we project the way that we are in our lives, and how we can work on ourselves and become aware and accept our way of being, so the way that we behave and the way that we are internally, and maybe change this if necessary to make our lives better and to make the world a better place. I'm a big believer in the macro-micro concept, is where what is happening internally within each of us is actually reflected externally. And if we can end this internal conflict that we have and work on ourselves to make ourselves function at a more optimum place and be more true to ourselves and more true to what we actually want out of life, then I believe this world will be a much easier place to live in, where we don't harm each other anymore, or we're aware of our actions and what our actions have on our own selves and those around us. And so this is what the aim of these shows actually are. And each week I look at a different emotion or a different thing. Like I've covered fear, I've covered happiness, I've covered gratitude, and today I'm going to be covering change. And change is something I thought that is quite an important subject, because it's something that people talk about all the time, saying that they want change, they want to see change, that they're not happy with the world that they're living in. They're not happy of living in an unfair world, an unjust world where people suffer and people starve and other people have loads and people lie and people cheat, and but there's and so people aren't happy with this, and so they want to see change. And so this is what we're all working towards anyway. So change is a good thing, really. A lot of people seem to have a lot of fear over change. But really, there's no need to have fear about it, because change is one of the only constant things in our lives. Our lives will change as the years go by, and there's no way of stopping this from happening. And so there's no real reason to be scared of change, because it can be a good thing. It is a good thing to change. It is a good thing to keep moving and keep changing and evolving and progressing through life. I personally think life would be pretty boring if we just stayed the same and every day was the same, and we never looked at our own selves and never wanted to discover our true selves, because most people are so in their mind. Not most people, I shouldn't say most people, but I don't really know what the percentage of people who are, but a lot of people are totally in their mind. So and they're reacting to situations due to situations they've been in the past, or due to traumas that they've had in the past, and these reactions to other people and the way that we perceive the world to be, is what a lot of people make decisions and choices in their lives from. So I think it's a good thing to actually look at where you're coming from, where you're making your decisions from, and look to see if it needs changing. So it's nothing to be scared of, and it's something that's inevitable, and it's something that cannot be avoided. And we all want to see change in this world, and I really do think that, and I do feel it as well, that it has to start with each and every one of us. And like I said before in previous shows, it does come down to basic maths. If we can all concentrate on sorting ourselves out, instead of trying to sort everyone else out, or instead of focusing our intention on politics all the time, or this, that and the other things that we aren't actually really able to have any change, I think it's more worthwhile to actually spend that time to just work on yourself. And the more I find that I work on myself, the more my life gets better, and also the more the people around me, also their lives get better. I'm not one of these people that thinks that the world has just getting worse and worse and worse and worse. I think, in my eyes, I think over the years, in a lot of ways, it's become better. I think people are becoming more aware of their own selves and of the kind of lives that they want to live. And people are dreaming more and believing that they can achieve more than what they used to as well, I think. And I do know that the government and everything are coming down a bit tight on us all now and everything, but they have been really tight on us in the past as well. I think we just need to concentrate on just focusing our attention on what we can do in this life and what we can actually change. And change is a really good thing and nothing to be scared of as far as I'm concerned. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. And when I look back over my life, I can actually see how much I have changed, not just physically, but on an emotional level. And to change your external environment, you have to start with your internal environment, because your external environment is a reflection of your internal environment. And you can't just change your surroundings and expect your life to change. Your everyday to-day life will change. You'll be walking down a different street, you'll be meeting different people, but you will still be attracting the same shit to you that you was attracting before. You'll still be going around in the same circles that you was before. It's not something that can be done externally. And this happens a lot with, like, say, the health system or something like that. What happens is each government that comes in thinks that they can change the actual system by changing and swapping around a few managers, or swapping around this or swapping that, but they're not actually changing the core. And that's what we need to look at. There's no point just shuffling things around and hoping for a better future. It's something you have to take upon yourself. And it's not always an easy journey, but it makes life easier. So it's definitely worth putting the effort in. And, when I think back to how I used to be, when I was a teenager or maybe in my early 20s, and how much fear I was in, and these sort of situations that I attracted to myself, I just think now, thank God I did change. I went down that path of working on myself and changing for the better, changing what I personally think about myself or feel about myself and my abilities and what I deserve in life, and changing that perspective to therefore then change all the situations that happen to me in my life. I forgot to say as well, if anyone wants to join in to this program today, show today, just call in on, can you say all the details, Paul, if you got them? Or shall I find them? Well, it's Bob's Backyard. I know you can Skype in on Bob's Backyard. Saddam, have you got them? I haven't got them. All right, nobody's answering.
I believe it's 0161 298 0298.
Thank you. Or Skype in on Bob's Backyard, Darkcity Radio. It'd be good to hear from anyone if you want to join in.
I think you're dead right. It is. Excuse me, I've did it all to a muted microphone. I'm not used to working like this at the moment. My apologies. I hope you can hear me all right. I haven't really tested it. But you're quite right. Outside the UK, you need plus 44 and then 161-298-0298. Bang on. My apologies for not being quick enough.
No worries. It's all good. Yeah, so one of the things that, life itself, if you just look at life itself for all of us, how much it has changed over the decades, people used to not have so many choices. We've got so many choices these days compared to what we used to have. People used to be born to a certain, maybe a miner's or a banker's family or whatever it was that you was born into, and then people would go to school, leave school, get married, stayed married for the rest of their lives to the same person, have a couple of children, and work in the exact same job for the whole of their lives. Now we're in totally new territory, I think. The way I see it is that all of us are in totally new territory. Us, the ordinary people, the elite, or whoever you want to look at, we are all in a new phase in the world. We are all pushing forward, and the world is changing with all of us, and we're all creating this reality that we live in together. And a lot of people's reality seem to be based around fear. Fear of what's going to happen, fear of what could happen to them, and fear of what could happen, like a meteorite hitting the earth, or Armageddon seems to be another one. So I think we need to change this, and the way to do that is to internally change ourselves and get ourselves off of this fear matrix and fear grid, and onto the loving one, and to being back into a position of having lots of self-worth and respect and love, and just living a better life, sharing more with each other, and just working more as a community. And that's what I would like to see more of, and what my personal goals are and aiming towards. What we have to do then, what I had to do anyway, personally, is when I realised that I was living this life and I was attracting all these situations to me in my life that I was finding quite distressing, to be totally honest. I was I always try and put my finger right on when things started happening to me to make me take on a lot of the mentality that I had, a lot of the negative thought patterns and destructive thought patterns that I had, that was attracting quite full-on situations into my life at some points. I haven't always chosen an easy path to walk down, and I've got myself into some pretty full-on situations in my life. And it's all been a learning curve for me. And I remember as a teenager, I used to think nobody's ever going to change me apart from me. I won't let anyone change me. And inadvertently, I did. Inadvertently, I let a lot of life experiences change me over the years. A lot of things that I went through that are negative made me into a very defensive person. Somebody, I felt the need to protect myself very strongly, protect myself. I felt the need... I was quite shy and quite nervous for quite a few years as well. And so I obviously felt the need to not be like that anymore. That's another thing that I needed to change. But through these feelings of feeling these negative feelings, I just kept ending up in a cycle of just attracting horrible situations, abusive, aggressive situations, full-on situations, just ending up in not very nice situations and just getting out by the skin of my teeth or something. And so I didn't want to carry on living my life like this, because I don't know where I would be today if I carried on down that destructive path. I definitely wouldn't be here talking to you lot now how I am. I would just be maybe dead or something, or totally fucked over. But I'm not, so it's all good. And the reason why I'm not is because I decided to change my internal conversation, I suppose is what you could call it. when I was researching this a bit last week, there was I saw somewhere on the internet, I can't remember where it was, but they said that there's 8 thinking patterns that we all sink into. I'm just going to read these ones out, and I don't normally read things out, so I might sound a bit funny because I'm not the best reader. I'm dyslexic, but I'll just read it out. But these are sort of like the 8 main patterns that people get stuck in their head. Is life is shit, everything in my life is bad, everyone is not to be trusted, and nothing good will ever happen. That's one of the patterns that people get stuck in. Me personally, I've had times where I have thought things are shit, and I have thought don't trust anyone. I used to always have this thought pattern in my head that used to say, don't come near me, leave me alone, and I don't ever tell anyone anything about yourself, because they'll always use it against you. And some of these things I had quite young. I'm not really quite sure where they originated from, but as you can imagine, walking around with these kind of thought patterns going through my head and being in this kind of fear, I would attract what I was focusing on and what I was thinking about. So I can relate to that one. And then the other one, number 2, was unsubstantiated conclusive thinking pattern. And this is when people tend to make a lot of conclusions without evidence to back it up. So, up your conclusions, so that it's just coming to conclusions about situations, or I won't get that job anyway, or there's no point going over there because I won't succeed, or there's no point, I can't do that, or, them sort of, you've already think you know the outcome. And then another one is never to me, when people, so this is number 3, never to me, and that's when people think nothing good would ever happen to them, like they'll never win the lottery, they'll never succeed, this just total lack of confidence, or I never win competitions, I never win the raffle. There's people do have that negative thought patterns, and then as you can imagine, again, if you're constantly thinking that you're never going to succeed at anything, then you're not going to really try, are you? So that's a really deconstructive, whatever, is that a word I've just made up? But that's a really destructive sort of thought pattern to actually have, because it can be you. All these patterns just need to be turned around and flipped about, really. And then there's the number 4, the negative psychic, presuming you know what people think. She thinks I'm an idiot, etc. And I've done this one loads of times, thinking that I know what people think and assuming that I know what people think. When you've had an argument or something or anything like that, or you haven't even had an argument, somebody's having an off day and you're taking it personally, and then you presume this person doesn't like you, and this person, this, that, and the other, and that all that person's done is just had a bit of a stressful day and not actually meant anything. You can never assume or presume you know what anyone's thinking. If you want to know what somebody's thinking, then you ask them. You don't just presume. So I learned not to do that one as well. But even though I still do some of these, to be honest, and I noticed that last week, because I was meant to come on and do this my radio show last week, but just before I went on, I said, oh no, I don't want to do this, because I felt nervous, and I got taken a bit literally, which isn't surprising, really. I would, if I say something, then somebody's going to think that's what I mean, but I didn't mean it. But I've learnt from that as well. Just don't say I don't want to do it beforehand. So, and then the other one, number 5, is should, would, could. And this type of person knows what they have to do to change their lives, and they are capable, and they know it, and they would do it if only, e.g., I know I could go to university and I would, but I'm just too busy with other things right now, and I'll apply next year. I could and I would and I should. These are really negative. I don't really like using that word, but these are thought patterns that will stop you progressing in your life along the path that you maybe want to go. I want to go anyway. These sort of things, it's like putting things off all the time, I'll do that next week because this week I'm going to do this, it's putting things off. And that's one of the things about living in the world that we live in. You can either do things now or you can wait and do them later. And when I first got told that, I got the wrong end of the stick totally and thought, oh wow, wicked! I live in a world where I can just sit back and do things another day. But it just depends on what it is, isn't it? Some things are better off done there and then, and just biting the bullet and just getting it done, get it over and done with, or doing it. Instead of putting it off and putting it off and putting it off, because the more you put things off, the harder they seem, because you sort of lose your confidence more and more and your self-esteem each time you put things off. Every time you make an excuse as to why you shouldn't be doing something, you sort of accept that about yourself and you kind of lose your self-esteem. And so this is a really negative sort of rut to end up in as well. And the sixth one is emotion-based. Your emotions control what you are thinking and therefore your vision of what reality is. E.g., for example, I feel incapable of doing that, so I must be incapable, and this is this is really important one in relation to this show that I do, is emotional based, and this is the element that I really do try to prevent from happening in my life and highlighting to other people. You can't let your emotions rule your life. I love having emotions, and I accept all the emotions that I go through and all the emotions that I feel. But like I keep saying on all my shows, is emotions are like a river, and you've got to keep them flowing. You can't cling on to them. And if you cling on to if somebody does something and you react in an upset and hurt manner, and if you're then letting that control your life, you're actually giving away all your personal power. You're giving it to loads of other people and allowing them to make all your choices in your life. Inadvertently, you're allowing negative things that have happened to you sculpt your life and carve the path that you're going to walk down. And that's really not a way to be, is it? So if you are finding that you are doing this one, then this show would be really good for you then. Number 7, it's all my fault. You see yourself as being the cause of everything bad that has happened to you. For example, it's my fault. Do not take responsibility for the good things that happen. I don't like blame. This is all about blame, isn't it? Blame's just really unproductive. It doesn't solve anything. All it does is mean that you're just going to carry on going round and round in circles because you're not actually taking responsibility. But you can't feel guilty, or you can't feel like you're responsible for disasters sort of happening around you. It's all about changing the way you're thinking and what you're focusing on, and being more positive in life, really. And number 8 is they're all wrong. You see everyone is incapable of doing anything right, and your way is the best way to do it, etc. They can't do anything right, your way is the best. So that's when you just think that nobody else is capable of doing anything bar you. And a lot of the time, if you've got that kind of a thought pattern, you do get a bit worn out in life because you're too busy trying to do everything, and you're not actually allowing others to develop and giving others the space and time to be able to learn and develop, because you think you can do it better. So you can see how all these thought patterns can actually have quite an effect on your life in a not very constructive manner. And my notes are all over the place. That's one thing that I could change, is being a bit more organised. And so, yeah, I think change is great. I do really think it's an amazing thing, and I really want to see change in this world. I really want to see people taking responsibility for their emotions and their feelings and the lives that they live and what they're putting out there and what they're thinking. Because every thought is the start of a creation, isn't it? It is how you create. You create with your thoughts, you create with your intent, you create with your focus. And whatever you're focusing on is what you're going to create. And we're really fortunate, I think, to be on the earth at this particular time with these great changes that are happening. which have always been happening. Let's not deny that. But what we want to change now is, personally, what I want to see changing is the way that people deal with everything in life and the way the world works, you know. I don't believe in all this revenge people want and stuff like that. I think that needs to be changed. I don't believe in that violence and things are going to change the world for the better. I think if people want to go down that road, then they're not actually changing anything. They're just keeping things the same that they've been for centuries. You know, that's not change to me. Change is just totally rethinking about, well, just working on ourselves. Like I keep saying, working on ourselves to make this world a better place by starting with ourselves. So that's the sort of change that that I want to see anyway happening in the world. The world's changed loads, you know. More people, you know, with social networks and things like that, Facebook and everything. People are more aware now of what the world's like to live in, what's going on the other side of the world, all the corruption that's going on, the fear people are living in, and now it's about using all this information and changing yourself, because, you know, it's so that things will change. We are aware now of things and we want it to change. Now we have to work together to make it change by concentrating on ourselves. You know, I sometimes think that we need to change the way, like, things won't change through violence. That's just thinking the same. I think that we need to find a way of working together to keep things running, but to change the whole way that we think, our think patterns and what we're projecting out there. And, you know, I think like that it will be better if we just do that, concentrate on ourselves. Okay. So I'm just reading my notes a bit. They're all over the place. So how did I start changing myself then? Well, I realised... Does anyone want to say anything yet, actually? I've noticed that I've been blubbering on for it. Does anyone want to say anything on what I've said so far?
No, I think you're doing brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. But if at some point Sudama could bring me in under my ID, because I can't actually ring myself. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so I'd reached a point in my own life then, like I was saying, I was getting myself into all these scrapes and things, and I was attracting situations to myself which were very destructive to me, and I was in a constant point of fear with all these situations that were being made more and more real. All these thoughts about myself that I was having was being made more and more real by the experiences that I was attracting to myself. And as soon as I realised that was the key to it, that I'm attracting these situations to myself, that it's me that's bringing the experiences into my life. I'm not on some path that's already been laid and formed for me to walk along. You know, everything happens for a reason, whatever, but I personally believe that I build my own path. I create my own path. And once I realised this, that's when my life started changing, and that's when my internal conversation personally started to change. I became more aware of these patterns and processes that I was thinking, and that was attracting these experiences to me. I had a proper victim mentality for a while, and a lot of the situations that I went through confirmed these things to me, made it more and more real, and the more of these experiences that you actually pull to yourself, and the more real they become, the more harder it seems that you can change it, you know. And, you know, I was thinking... Yeah, I did have quite a few of them thinking patterns on that list that I read out. No, and I was taught certain techniques where I learned how to do energy work, and that was the main tool for me that I used and still use to this day to to find my true self, to be my true self, to be who I'm meant to be, who I want to be, the true me. You know, not somebody that's messed up due to all the not wrong decisions, due to the thoughts and experiences that I have attracted to myself. And so I became more and more aware of these things, and I became more and more aware of the need to be grounded as well, and more and more responsible for myself. And when I had negative patterns, negative thoughts, I just changed them. And one of the ways I was told to do it was just to say counsel, counsel, bless was one of the ways. So whenever I had a negative thought, I would say counsel, counsel, bless. And it wouldn't always work, but a lot of the time it does, because it highlights what you're thinking, and it makes you think, well, no, I'm not doing that. I'm going to replace it with something better. And another one of the sayings that I say a lot, and I still do it to this day, if I do feel myself slipping into fear, and to change and stop myself from slipping into fear and prevent myself from creating a total mess for myself, bringing more shit on my doorstep, I actually, if I feel myself slipping into that sort of state, I'll just say, I trigger the love, I trigger the light, I trigger the love, I trigger the light, I trigger the love, I trigger the light, and then I just feel the energy changing around me, and I feel it being a lot lighter and a lot more peaceful and a lot more beautiful, really, and a lot more a freer way of being, you know. And that's how, another one of the ways that I actually get through this. I did used to, when I first started doing energy work and started looking down this path, I did go down into past lives a bit, and did quite a lot of processing and trying to figure out what the root cause of why I'm feeling this way, or why I'm this, that, or the other. And the further down my path that I've built, my own little path that I create for myself, I've thought a lot of this, trying to change myself by focusing and trying to highlight what the actual problem is sometimes actually making me worse. I have to change the fact that I don't trust life. I have to change the fact that I don't trust the decisions that I'm making, and I have to change the fact that I don't trust what's going to be happening around the corner. And I have to change that to make myself. Once that's changed, and then it doesn't matter what got me there. All that matters is now and what's happening to me now. And so now, that's why now I don't bother with what happened in the past, or what happened, or what got me there. I just let it go, and I've got really loads better, so much better at just allowing the energies in my life to flow through me, rather than try and cling on to them or try and make them into something else, or using them to create my reality. And my life has just improved loads. My personal feeling about how I feel about myself and how I view the world and how I view life is just totally different. I'm not so clumsy as I used to be or anything. I'm so much more together with loads of things in my life, and things just flow a lot more for me, and I've got a lot more confidence in myself and everything. Does anyone want to say anything? For now? No? Okay. It's just my mum's just got to the door. Anyway, hang on.
Brilliant. You can't beat it, can you? You can't beat live radio. I don't know if my audio's even working.
I apologise about that, but I had to let her in, otherwise the dogs are just going to start, and then I'd end up shouting and everything. But here we go. So my life has got better due to the changes that I've made on my internal conversation, I suppose I'll call it. So these changes that we do make and we can make for ourselves are definitely worth putting the time and effort in. And there's nothing really scary about it. What is scary is staying the same. That's what scares me. That would scare me more than anything, is not progressing and moving forward through life. And so if we all do this, then as I've said before, it comes down to simple maths. The whole world would be a better place. Because change is inevitable, and as Charlie Chaplin said, nothing's constant in this wicked world, not even our troubles. So there's no point focusing on our troubles and things, because they will go as well. And if you focus, the more you focus on things, the more that you'd bring them into your life. Another thing which I've found personally, which helps me with changes, is to actually get quite flexible in my physical body as well as in my mind. I think flexibility in your physical body, we can store trapped energies in our shoulders, in our necks, in other parts of our body, and if you move around a lot, you release this, and you become more flexible and more open to change, because you're not clinging on to the energies within your body, So flexibility is another way which is being fit and strong and healthy, and having a strong vessel, which I mean by vessel is your body. The more stronger your physical body, the more energies you can carry, the more flexible you are, the more easy energies can flow through your body. And this is what we want. We want to be a continually flowing, emotional being, don't we? We don't want to be stagnant, smelly old pond, as I call it. So these are all important tools which can be used to help us to progress through our lives. Because I've been, like I've said before, I went through lots of different changes in my life. I went quite defensive in for a while, and quite too independent actually. I went for in my life at one point, because of all the traumas and things that I'd created and brought into my life. I went totally independent. Didn't want anyone to help me with anything. Wanted to be able to do absolutely everything totally on my own. Didn't trust people. Didn't want them anywhere near me in a lot of senses. And so obviously I needed to change that, and I have changed that, and I've become more open to people being part of my life in what way? I don't like the word help. I allow people more into my life these days anyway, put it that way. I allow people to assist me in what I'm doing more than what I used to. As long as they're not getting in the way of nothing I want to do, it's all right. I'll let them help. Because it's good to be able to work together, really. That's what I'm trying to say. We can't do everything totally on our own. It's good that we can all work in a community and help each other out and work together. And that's ultimately what I want to do. I'd love to live in a proper community. And I think this is something that we all need to change about our social environment and the homes and the world we live in. We all need to be able to look out for each other and our neighbours and our friends. I check on my neighbour all the time. I ask her if she's all right. She's probably in the 60s, 70s, and I give her a lift places if she needs them. And you know what I mean? I don't mind doing that. I like helping people and assisting people out. As long as I feel balanced within what I'm doing, it's all good, really, as far as I'm concerned. As long as you don't feel like somebody's taking the piss out of you, well then, it's cool, isn't it? It's nice. It's nice to be nice. It's nice to be good as well. So, and it's good when people can all work together and do these sort of things. Apparently I'm deep breathing and my mic's blown. Thank you, Lee. I'll move it a bit more further under my chin. My life today, today compared to... Oh, look, Barry wants to say something. Go on, Barry.
I tune in every week just to hear your giggle, eh? It is the highlight of my week. No, hey, Sarah, you're right. What I have found in my life that's made a lot of changes as people in the past that have shit on me and done me wrong. I've mentally now been able to kind of put that to rest and kind of going forward in my life and not dwell on negatives. If you dwell on negatives, man, it takes away your energy. If you dwell on positives, it seems to create energy. Those are a few of the changes that I've really noticed in my life is I'm positing more, focusing way more time on my positives. And I really, when those thoughts of shit that's happened in the past come up in my mind, I kind of mentally just bury them and don't let them affect my life or what I'm doing. at times in the past, I found myself just wanting to kill people for bad they've done to you in life. And lots of people have felt that way, and people are like that. A lot of people will shit on you. But if you learn to just forget that and put it behind you, this is something I've done, and I've found a big change in my life since I've done it, is the karma will come around. And, karma is a powerful thing. And, people that shit on you, well, maybe someday, I shouldn't say it's going to come back on them, but karma is, I believe, in what you are what you sow, you reap what you sow, and things have a way of working themselves out in the future. And those are a few comments I wanted to make today. Then I know the parrot's in the background. Do you want me to put him away? He's sitting in the kitchen there, just up on the shelf. The parrot. No. But those are just a few things I wanted to say, Sarah. I've really noticed that. If like I said, we've all had people that have done us wrong in life. And if you let's just forgive them and put it behind you, it makes a difference in your thought patterns and the way you see things. And dwell on the positive, dwell on doing good things for people. And that's kind of where I'm going with my life. I like to help people, and I want to make people happy, and I want to share information with people. And if everybody does that, instead of being greedy and take this, take that, screw your neighbor, what can I do to get ahead? Got to have a bigger car, got to have a bigger house. Well, it's all materialistic, man. We don't really need that. What we need now is a change in people's attitudes towards each other. And if we could change people's attitudes towards each other, it would really make a difference in our societies.
Yeah, well, I don't think we can change anyone's thought patterns, really. I think that's totally up to them, isn't it? And that's what we need to push forward. But yeah, I agree with a lot of what you're saying there, Barry. I used to get I haven't, with me, it's the problem hasn't been with forgiving others, it's myself. I've always been very hard on myself and set myself very high standards of how I expected myself, sorry, should be a past tense because I don't do this anymore, and how I expected myself to be. And if I allowed other people into my life and they upset me or hurt me, I would punish myself more than I would punish other people, and I'd allow them back into my life because I'd be too busy blaming myself. I was more that kind of a person, and I'd keep allowing people back in and back in and back in to repeatedly do the same thing over and over again. And I used to find it very hard to just reach the point where I'd think, hang on, I can't do this anymore. This is destructive for me, and it's also destructive for the other person. This role that we're playing out for each other is totally wrong. And that's one of the tools that I actually learned, is to release people from the roles that they feel that they have to play in each other's lives, and what I feel like I have to play, what I contract to and agree to play in other people's lives. And that's one of the things that I've worked on changing. And one of the good tools that I found personally that helps with this is actually the salt baths that I was talking about, and the meditation. The meditation is really important. It's not just the baths; it's the meditation and the baths. You know, to get the optimum full benefits from it, you need to listen to the John Armitage's meditation again. It's on the Darkcity website, and I think he's under artists, John Armitage, and it's definitely, if you're finding that you are repeating the same mistakes over and over and over and over again with people, then that is definitely a good place, a nice place, and an easy place to start. Because with these meditations, you don't have to focus on what's got you into that position in the first place, because lots of things would have got you there. Sometimes people don't have to even do anything and you take offence. If you're tired or you're having a bit of an off day, or even a stranger can upset you, you know what I mean? So to actually find out all these things that have got you into this negative way of being, you could spend years. So there's no point. Forget about it. Don't worry about it. Just concentrate on now and letting go now. And that's what I reckon anyway.
Well, that's what I'm kind of saying, Sarah. You got to put the past behind you and focus on what's on in your life right now.
Yeah, exactly. And change the way you feel and react. We can't change the way other people feel and react, and that was one of the things that you said.
Yeah, well, by changing people's thought patterns, I don't mean change their thought patterns, just the way they might see things a little differently. You can't change people's thought patterns, but you can introduce people to different ideas that might change their thought patterns. We're all into changing thoughts. I mean, I know my thought patterns have changed immensely. Honestly, in the last 3 to 4 months, my thought patterns have changed. I think it's for the good, but I know that some of the things that I've kind of dealt with and come to dealt with here in the last year in my life or so, it's changed my thought patterns. So it's not saying you can change, it's just introducing thoughts to people that might influence the way they see things, you know?
Yeah, and people around you, Barry, would have noticed the change, and then they would have noticed the fact that you're a lot more relaxed and you're a lot more happy, and you aren't walking around with the burden of the world on your shoulders. So just by being the person, being more true to yourself, and being less tied down by them, bound, I suppose is a good word, actually, bound by these thought processes, you are actually showing people in the best way you possibly can by actually doing it yourself, actually doing it, and not just talking about it and not just hoping for it. You're actually taking the steps and doing it and letting go of these things, and you're moving forward in your life, and that's the best way you can show anyone around you of anything, is by actually doing it yourself. And
yeah, people tend to see that you're a little bit more relaxed, you're a little bit more patient. I know myself. My kids say, "Hey, Dad, what's going on? You're a lot more patient than you used to be. You don't yell, you don't get stressed out. You kind of what's going on, Dad?" So anyway, there's a lot to be said about that, Sarah. That it does change your demeanor and your whole thinking about things. When you really start doing that, and then you start helping people, it really, really changes the way you see things. Then you just want to kind of share that love for what you see in the world with other people, and try and highlight the bad shit, you know, and get that out of people's minds, and let's think about positives.
Yeah, another thing that I find really helps me personally, if I find, because I do still slip, you know, I haven't completely 100% mastered all this sort of stuff yet. Really, I'm in a really good position today. I am in a really good position, especially if you compare me to how I was even 2 months ago. I'm loads better, you know, because I'm constantly moving and constantly changing and constantly working on myself and constantly doing. But I've actually found that one of the things that when I am slipping into negative thought patterns and negative things, one of the things that helps pull me out of it is when I actually do start doing things, start working towards my goals, even if it's just, I have to break things down now. I used to just see things as too big, but now I just break them down into little steps. And even if I don't know what the next step is, I start taking the steps, and I trust that I'm going to be heading the right way. And then I notice as I'm getting up and I'm doing these things and working towards my goals, all the negativity and the worry and the stress all disappear because I'm actually doing it. I'm doing it now. And that's, you know, and if you're not doing it, you're going to feel bad, aren't you? You're going to feel shit. You're going to feel like you haven't got any self-esteem. You're going to feel like you're not capable because you're not actually doing it. And it's not until you do start doing it that you start feeling better.
That is so true. That is so true. I know for myself, for a couple of years there, I used to sit on the internet and look at links and share information with people, but not really getting involved. But as soon as you start getting hands-on, like an example here, I'll give you one example real quick, Sarah. A couple months ago, this is about 3 months ago, I published an article in the local newspaper here about fluoridation in water. And I wanted to put some more information in there, but, you know, of course, the newspaper is busy. They said maybe in 3 or 4 months you can put some more information in there. Well, I approached the editor the other day and said, look, I'm just going to get a small spot in the paper and I'll pay for it, and I want to list all the current information I just brought up on fluoridation. And originally it was going to get charged, but I went in there today to pay them. And they said, no, Barry, we're just going to give you the space in the newspaper here. And I said, yeah, it was going to cost me like about $140 to put in about a quarter page of an ad with all the information that I just pulled up lately on fluoridation and the latest reports. But now instead of having to pay for it, I'm going to get it published in the newspaper for free. So it just shows you if you put a little effort in and get people's attention, show things to people, and look like you're putting an effort into stuff, all of a sudden, this was kind of a little blessing today for me. So they're going to get a quarter page in the paper in next week paper about this, and I've got all the information in front of me.
Oh, brilliant.
So that's just one thing you can do every day. You know, it's just a little thing every day that you can do.
Yeah. Yeah, every
And
day.
if
Just
everybody does that, wow, look at watch what's going to happen.
yeah, exactly. Just every single day doing a little bit. If you want to get more healthy, what I found is if I want to get more fitter and healthy, then I have to do something I enjoy. I did have a personal trainer for a little while, and it was horrible actually. She was making me jump up and down and do all sorts of stuff. It was horrible experience. I thought, no way. I don't want to have to do. I don't. Hang on a minute, please, Barry. I was thinking, sure. I don't want to have to do this all the time. I don't want to. This isn't how I like getting fit. And what I like doing is dancing. I like dancing. I like hula hooping, and I really enjoy it. So to me, that's make things fun. Make your life fun. Life is for fun. It should be fun. It shouldn't be boring. It shouldn't be shit. You shouldn't be doing it because you have to. If your life isn't fun and you're not happy with your life, well then you are the only one that's going to change it. The universe will not change it for you. Your destiny is something that you create from your thoughts and your patterns. And if you aren't happy, well, I'm afraid to say you are the only one. Well, actually, I'm glad to say, because this makes it really easy, actually. This is the best news you could possibly have, is that you change it. You can change it. And I think it's easy to change, really. I think that we complicate things too much in this world. If you just take these steps, like I said, like change your thought patterns and set yourself these goals and the intent of having a happy life and of having a fulfilled and enjoying life, and starting to do each day, even if it's just a little bit of time each day, just starting to do the things that you love and you enjoy doing and the things that you want to do. Well, then that's what change is. That's how you bring about change. It is an inside job, so to say. That's great news, isn't it? Really, Don't be scared. Don't be scared to make these changes. Today, due to all the changes that I've made in my life, I can look at myself and I can say that I am more independent now than when I deliberately went out to set myself to be an independent person, to the point of where I didn't want people around me much. Because now I see myself as a self-contained vessel. I am everything I need to be. I'm everything that I want in life is here, me. That's it. I don't need or want anything else. My happiness doesn't depend on anything or anyone else. And in the past it has done. I've pinned too much on other people, on what they say, whether they like me or whether they're horrible to me or whether they're going to come, spend time with me. Now I don't give a fuck, because I'm me and I'm happy to be me and I'm happy with who I am in my life. I've reached a point where I can honestly say that I do feel like a whole vessel. I don't feel the need for anything anymore like I did before in the past, and that's given me so much freedom. It's given me so much more choice in my life, and it also means that if people are in my life and they are hindering my life, they're making my life difficult, or they're not them. Obviously, the way I react, please. That's what I mean. The way I take on board. Then if I'm not happy, well, then I can walk away really easily, because I actually know that I've got loads of really good friends. I'm all right. I know I'm all right. I've got everything I need. I trust in my capabilities. I trust in my choices and my creations, and I trust that I am going to make a good life for myself. I do enjoy my life. I am really a happy person these days. I've worked through so much of my stuff by just not focusing on it too much and letting it go. I've got myself into a really good position. I really do feel that, and I feel like it's only going to get better and better and better, and I am working through and breaking a lot of the habits that I have had that have been quite obstructive in the past, and I'm starting to do the things that I'd never did before, that I was too lazy to do before or couldn't be bothered to do before. And this everything has really changed, and it's great. I've just really enjoy it. I really enjoy it. Does anyone else want to say anything? Life is good anyway. Life is good. And it should be good. We should all be happy, and we should all fucking... There's no reason for us to fuck ourselves over anymore. Really? Does anyone...
Change is good. Change is
good.
Yeah, my life kind of went down real quick. My life went down of a kind of different path. Earlier things I did in my life I'm not proud of. But like I said, now I really kind of, in my mind and in my soul, I've been able to put them to rest. I can't undo what I've done in the past. I can really make a change in the future. And if I find now that I'm focusing on positives, I like a lot more what I'm doing in my life now, Sarah, than I was 25 years ago.
Yeah.
So I'll end with that. Change is good.
Yeah, change is brilliant. I love it. I love change. Life without change would be shit. It'd be boring. So yeah, and it's good, and it's so good and empowering to know that we are the ones who can change our lives. We are the ones that change the world. We are the ones that create this world. So it's just as soon as you realise that, then that's it. You've got the ability to change and to change the world, and that's just amazing, really. It is. It's just simple. Don't complicate things. There's no need to complicate things. You know what I mean? Just keep your standards. Keep changing. Well, higher standards, low, you know, or lower them, whatever you might need to do. You're right, Nerys.
Hello, you're right. I like that. Yeah, okay. I'm good, thank you.
All right, goodbye, everyone. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Things, yes, lots and lots of different things. There's chat, music, diversity, an occasional argument. You know, for the warmongers.
I have to channel the spirit. All right, let's see here.